Okay, I need a little more energy than that.
Good morning, Miss Jody.
Good, that's better. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all so very much for being here. My name is Jody Finkelstein, and I am so proud to serve as the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Commission for Women and the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee. What actually began as a task force in 2014 became a formal committee in 2017 and has grown into such an amazing, hardworking group of people who are so incredibly dedicated to reducing and preventing human trafficking in our county. I know we say a lot of wonderful things about Montgomery County, and on a personal note, I grew up here. I graduated from Montgomery County schools, so I definitely have a personal sense of pride here. But the amazing people that I have been able to work with day in and day out on this issue has not compared to anything that I've experienced in my lifetime, aside from the wonderful people that I work with at the Montgomery County Commission for Women. The campaign that we're launching today is something that I have not seen any county do regionally, let alone in the United States. So that's another proud personal moment, not only for me as a citizen of Montgomery County, but for all the incredible people we've had the opportunity to work with over the last month. And yes, I'm going to say years. This is a year's worth of undertaking. And in fact, in honor of the Olympics that start this weekend, I want to say I feel like we're all a little bit of an Olympian, where that we have spent years and years and years on something that's going to you're going to see in 2 minutes. So I think that we're all gold medalists today for all of the hard work that we've put in, for all the sacrifices that people have made, not just for their families, but honestly, for the potential victims that are out there that are working in these body works establishments that absolutely positively need our help. I'm so, as I've said, deeply grateful to all of my colleagues, but I'm very grateful to the county executive who's given me full reign on this, which not every boss will do, so thank you very much, Mr. County Executive. To our wonderful county council, and who's represented, we're here by Don Lukey, who has been a champion on this effort. I really need to pause and say what a huge thank you to the Montgomery County Police Department Vice Unit for all of the hard work that they have done, not only in going to training after training to become even more victim-centered, but to allow me and all the ride-alongs that they have, and hours and hours and hours that I have spent with them. So I'm very grateful for all the work that they have done, that they will continue to do. And also to the Montgomery County Department of Health, who've done a phenomenal job with such a small staff, working so hard to look into all of these licensing, and to all of our many partners across the county, including Montgomery County Trauma Services, who's represented here today, representatives from the Safe Center, as well as our sheriff, who's done an amazing job, Max Weed, to be able to assist us in all these endeavors. As somebody who has their master's in community organizing, this truly has been a coordinated community effort to an ever-growing problem in our community. By working together, we have turned awareness into action. And with that, I'm very pleased to again have you all here today. And I'm very pleased to introduce our county executive, Mark Urich, who's going to share a few comments. Thank you, Mr. Executive.
First of all, I just want to say it's important to give people free rein to do the work they're supposed to do. You all are experts in something I'm not an expert in, and for me to suppose that I should impose how you should go about doing this would be wrong. So I really appreciate the work you've done. And you'll always have free rein to do good. That's what we ought to be doing here. I am really grateful to the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee for all their work on this, and it's taken many years to get to this point. I remember some of the first human trafficking discussions we had back when I was on the council, which probably going back 15, 16 years, and it was around people who were brought over from other countries, ostensibly as staff, and never got to leave the house. Or if they got to leave the house, they were very strictly controlled. Basically, they were keeping people here as servants and not free to go out without the permission or control of the owner. And that was one of the first hard discussions we had on this. This is really important, what we're doing now. It's hard to find. Nobody wants to talk about it. And the people who are victims are basically afraid of you. If you report it, you could wind up losing your status here. If you're not a legal immigrant, you could expose yourself, obviously, to deportation. But if you report what you're doing, you lose a job. And then how do you survive here? And oftentimes you lose a job and you lose a place to stay. And so people are often afraid and unstable about how they can, survive here if they talk about what's happened to them. So it makes it very, very difficult to track down. I want to thank the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee and their chair, Dr. Wendy Stickle, the vice unit from the Montgomery County Police Department. Thank you so much. HHS Licensing and Victim Services Units, Fair Girls, the University of Maryland Safe Center, and the Montgomery County Human Trafficking Prevention Committee, and Jody, of course. And I want to recognize the other elected officials. I think you're the elected official in attendance, Don Lutke. But everybody else has got things they're doing also this morning. So thank you for being here this morning. To my knowledge, this is the first time a county has launched an education and outreach campaign of this scope. And the purpose of the initiative, which Dr. Stickle will explain in more detail, is to educate the community on what to look for before booking a massage so the consumers know the difference between a legal entity and an illegal entity. Illegal operations can serve as a front for commercial sex operations and might be a venue for human trafficking. And what is human trafficking? It's the use of force, fraud, or coercion to exploit victims. We want to ensure the safety of both the individuals receiving services and the professionals providing them. Education, improve our state and local laws, hold those committing these crimes accountable, both criminally and civilly, and this includes establishment owners and the landlords, not just the operator, but the landlord. If you know what's going on in your building, you're responsible for it, and this is an important thing in terms of making the enforcement real. We have long been aware that some businesses in Montgomery County are offering illegal massage services, often alongside other forms of Eastern medicine, including acupressure and acupuncture. Just to emphasize, not every acupressure and acupuncture operation is tied to this, but sometimes they are. It's our responsibility to protect residents when they receive any type of personal service, and massages and acupuncture are no exception. Professionals who provide these services should be properly trained and licensed. Those that are not licensed and properly certified should be held accountable. And unfortunately, the standard is not met at every establishment in Montgomery County. I'm proud to announce that the county supported this effort by providing $25,000 in funding. Department of Health and Human Service also received grants to supplement these efforts. The education and outreach campaign will start next week with commercials, bus ads, geofencing, and social media. That's pretty complete. So it'll pop up on my phone if I'm near something I shouldn't be near. Great. Illicit messages is not new. And it's been around. Illicit massage is not new, and it's been around, unfortunately, for a long time. And our approach is new, and that's what was made possible through the work of this extraordinary team. I know you're going to be successful because everybody's committed to following through and making this work. So thank you for your commitment to this. Thank you all for being here this morning. Thank the media, those of you who are here, because this is an important message for us to get out to the community. So anything you can do to help us with that, please do it. It does matter what you do in this case. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Wendy Stickle, who is the chair and is remaining as our chair for the short term in the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee. Thank you, Dr. Stickle, for all of your hard work.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to move this down a little for my short stature. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is truly an honor to be the chair of this incredible, impactful committee. As mentioned, my name is Wendy Stickle. I am the chair of the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee, and I serve as the director of the University of Maryland Criminology and Criminal Justice Program at the universities at Shady Grove. It is, again, an honor to stand here with you today. As the county executive shared, today is an important day for many reasons, but most importantly, it marks a moment of transparency, accountability, and community education. Today, we are sharing with the public what the individuals standing and sitting all around us have been spending years working to uncover, and what many of us long suspected to be true. There are illicit massage establishments operating in Montgomery County, and they place both consumers and workers at serious risk. Why does this matter? It matters because some individuals working in bodywork businesses may be there against their will, providing services without proper education, training, and licensure, often under coercive and exploitive conditions. Massage therapy and acupuncture are legitimate, regulated professions. When performed by trained and licensed professionals, these therapies are proven to reduce stress, relieve pain, and improve overall well-being. However, when these services are provided outside of regulation by individuals who are not properly trained or licensed, it places both the worker and consumer at risk. It also undermines the integrity and professionalism that ethical practitioners have worked for decades to establish through licensure, education, and oversight. That is why it is critical that our community understands the warning signs of potentially illicit businesses, that our community understands and feels empowered to report concerns to law enforcement. Equally important, we must encourage the public not to patronize establishments that may be operating illegally. The education and outreach campaign that we are launching today is designed to do just that, to help the public understand what to look for, what questions to ask, and how to report potentially illegal operations. Illicit massage businesses often share common red flags. You can see these on these incredible posters that are in front of us. Unusually low prices, extended or irregular operating hours, restricted or locked areas, poor hygiene and unclean conditions, and signs that workers may be living on site. These are things that we should be looking for when entering all establishments. We also ask that members of the public take a moment to look closely at the licensure displayed on the walls of a business. Ask yourself, are these licenses current? Do they appear legitimate? Are the schools listed on those certificates recognized by the state of Maryland? I am pleased to share that the public is not expected to figure this out on their own. Licensing for massage therapists and acupuncturists can be verified directly through the Maryland State Board of Massage, Therapy, and Acupuncture, making it easy to confirm whether a license is valid and in good standing. In addition, our county website provides clear guidance and resources to help residents understand what legitimate licensure looks like, where to verify credentials, and how to report concerns safely and anonymously. This campaign is not about enforcement. It is about empowerment. Whether you are looking for some relaxation, and even for those who maybe are looking for something more nefarious, we want you to be aware of these red flags. Again, when you see these flags, it is possible that you are putting yourself and the workers who are serving you in danger. Community members must know what to look for and where to go for information. That's what this campaign will help you do. It can help make informed choices that protect your safety while also safeguarding others. By taking these simple steps, checking licenses, asking questions, and reporting concerns, you become an active partner in promoting public safety, ethical business practices, and human dignity in our community. It just turned to be February, amazingly, and Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And so people might be thinking about buying massages for themselves or gift cards for others, for their loved ones. This is a perfect time to pay attention to this critical issue in our county. We have two commercials that we are so excited to present for you today, and they kind of are trying to focus on different audiences. mostly females who are interested in relaxation and understanding, or getting a little break, and perhaps those who are booking for other reasons. And we really want them also to be aware of what they're booking. And so, for the first time, I am thrilled to share with you our Look Before You Book commercials.
It's just a spa, quiet, clean. You check in, nothing unusual. A customer at the counter, a certificate. But then, something feels off. Is this place as nice as it seems? If we take a closer look, that transaction is off the books. That certificate looks questionable. Those are uncommon operating hours, and there's evidence of on-site living. The signs are quiet, but the reality is loud. Look before you book.
Our first commercial, and now our second commercial.
It feels private, safe, easy.
Flip over on your back.
What starts behind closed doors rarely ends there. Your choices can impact more than just you. One moment can undo a lifetime. Is it worth it? Think before you book.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Stickle, and thank you all for being a part of the premiere of these wonderful new PSAs. Should have handed out popcorn. And it's now my pleasure to also introduce Councilmember Dawn Lukey, who has been an integral part of this effort. I know the entire County Council supports this, but I'm particularly pleased to have Councilmember Dawn Lukey here. And sorry for the familiarity. She's also my council member. So Councilmember, come on up. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's totally fine for anybody to just call me Dawn. So in fact, I prefer it. Thank you for having me here today. I truly appreciate being able to serve on the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee and collaborating with our public safety partners on these efforts, as well as with our state stakeholders, and understanding best how we can work collaboratively together to figure out what is working here in Montgomery County in terms of what we are able to do currently and where we might have gaps and where we might need other tools to help us in this effort. This is a huge step, educating the public, and to be fair, Montgomery County has been working steadily at educating the public, educating folks in our public school systems about the warning signs of human trafficking above and beyond what anyone else is doing around this state. And that's tremendously important, but it also benefits not just us here in Montgomery County, but it benefits the state as a whole. And so in working through the issues that come before us at the committee, and in seeing what we see on the ground through our vice unit and what they're able to bring to us, and I too have gone on ride-alongs with them to see how this plays out in public, it became incredibly important to me to say, what can we do that is not just focused on just consumers or just the victims who are being trafficked inside these establishments? What can we do collectively and collaboratively to solve for both? Because the public needs to be protected and the workers need to be protected. And in that sense, I am proud to say that there are 2 legislative initiatives at the state level presently that are making their way through. And I believe one had a bill hearing this week on the House side on the revisions to the massage therapy licensing. And we'll have its hearing on the Senate side on Tuesday. And that's House Bill 42, Senate Bill 410. Sponsored by Delegate Heather Bagnall and Senator Malcolm Augustine and Senator Brian Simonaire. And then the acupuncture bill that tightens up the licensure requirements for that. That is Senate Bill 370, also sponsored by Senator Malcolm Augustine, and House Bill 374, sponsored by Delegate Jennifer White Holland, will have their hearings next Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively, in the Maryland General Assembly. This is important. Sometimes we got to go back and dust some things off that we have on the books, whether it's state law or whether it's local law, and we need to fix them based on what we are seeing and feeling and experiencing out there in the community. This is that opportunity. We also have been working with the Maryland Higher Education Commission to better understand and better deeply know what does qualify and who is qualified to educate and issue certifications, because I have to tell you, we had discovered a disturbing pattern here in Montgomery County where we were seeing certificates, and I'm going to use air quotes, certificates on the walls of these establishments that were issued by an institution that is not authorized to be issuing said certificates by the Maryland Higher Education Commission. And if you look at the bills I just referenced, it does dive deeply into that in terms of saying, hey, here's where you're supposed to know and look to say, did the Maryland Higher Education Commission approve their education? Or were they approved if they received their training in an out-of-state facility? Was it approved by that state's equivalent of the Maryland Higher Education Commission, right? This is all incredibly important to make sure that customers are getting what they pay for, and by someone who is appropriately trained to be using those modalities on someone, because you could cause physical injury, you can cause physical harm. And the customer typically would think when they've walked into a place, well, of course there's some kind of qualification for doing this work. And also, it reduces the ability of the bad actors to exploit people who have no training, because they will be held accountable. And we do have positive local legislation here, our body work statute, that does allow us to take those actions. And our vice team may be small but mighty, and they do a tremendous job with that, not just in terms of making sure that the bad actors are dealt with, but making sure that those workers who are being exploited understand the resources and services that are available to them here too. Because the whole reason that happens in the first place is that they are in fact incredibly vulnerable people who are being exploited. So I remain committed to helping spread the word about this campaign, and I remain committed to doing the work, whether it involves collaborating with our state partners or taking a look at our own books here in Montgomery County and making the legislative changes that we need in order to make sure we have effective tools for the here and now in working through this problem and protecting both our consumers and our workers. Thank you so much.
I'll split the difference and say thank you very much, Councilmember Dawn. As Councilmember Dawn just said, we have a very small yet mighty vice unit who I'm now happy to introduce, who is the captain of John O'Brien of the small but mighty vice unit.
Good morning. My name is John O'Brien. I serve as the director of the Montgomery County Police Department's Special Investigation Division. Our department is dedicated to combating human trafficking and protecting the most vulnerable members of our community. Our division works closely with the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee, Montgomery County Councilmember Don Lutke, and the Maryland State Boards of Massage Therapy and Acupuncture to strengthen laws and close loopholes that traffickers exploit. These partnerships give us the tools to enforce laws that disrupt trafficking and bodywork establishments. Our division remains proactive in the fight against human trafficking, conducting spa inspections, locating victims, providing them resources, and engaging landlords to prevent further trafficking. This month, we launched our landlord engagement program by notifying 10 landlords currently renting establishments suspected of involvement in illicit commercial sex acts. This is a key step in disrupting the trafficking networks at their source. Human traffickers do not respect jurisdictional boundaries. That is why we are collaborating with neighboring law enforcement agencies to enforce trafficking laws and dismantle organizations that operate across the region. As has been mentioned several times, our Vice unit is small, but its impact is significant. We train patrol officers, county employees, hotel industry staff, and Montgomery County Public School personnel to recognize the signs of human trafficking. This training strengthens our ability to intervene and protect victims. Through the Look Before You Book campaign, we are empowering the Montgomery County community to join us in these efforts. Thank you to all of our partners who continue to support us in this fight. Together, we can make a difference.
And as I keep mentioning, there are many, many, many members of our team, and it is my deep pleasure to introduce another wonderful person, excuse me, Sheila Begary, the Deputy Chief, who's with the Special Victims Division at the State's Attorney's Office. We cannot do any of this without the partnership between our victim advocates, between our police department, and our State's Attorney's Office.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Begary. I am the Deputy Chief of the Special Victims Division here at the Montgomery County State's Attorney's Office. And I'm here on behalf of the Chief of our division, Debbie Feinstein, and of course, our State's Attorney, John McCarthy. The Special Victims Division is responsible for prosecuting the crimes of sex and labor trafficking, which also now includes this new felony offense for the unauthorized practice, for aiding and abetting, the unauthorized practice of massage therapy in Montgomery County. Our office is committed to rooting out trafficking crimes and holding people accountable for running these establishments with unlicensed massage practices. And really our goal is to go after these people who are knowingly owning, operating, and running these illegal establishments. And it really takes a collaborative effort for us to prosecute these crimes. We work closely with the partner agencies, specifically with the Vice and Intelligence Unit, in targeting these individuals, from the investigative stage of these crimes to the prosecution to ensuring victim safety. This coordinated approach really does help us to share information, identify problematic establishments, and to respond effectively. As Dr. Stickle had mentioned, licensing is important because it gives the business legitimacy and also requires them to adhere to professional and ethical standards. Especially in the realm of massage therapy, it's to make sure that this is practiced in a lawful, hygienic, and appropriate manner. Without licensing of a business, it really does create a greater risk and potential for the exploitation of vulnerable populations and for the potential for sex and labor trafficking to be occurring. Employees of these kinds of establishments may have language barriers, they may have immigration concerns, they might have financial hardships. The environments may involve long working hours, lack of labor protections, and unsafe working conditions. And for the patrons of these kinds of establishments, they enter an operation where there is no oversight, there's no accountability, and there's no hygienic standards. And so this new law really does help us focus in on these concerns and create a safer community for not only the employees, but also the consumers in these types of establishments. So we do encourage the public to remain vigilant and informed on this topic. It's hard to imagine, but these crimes do happen in Montgomery County. These unauthorized practices are happening in Montgomery County. Sex and labor trafficking does happen in Montgomery County. And so by being aware of these common signs and these red flags, it can help the public also be informed for their own safety, but also for the safety of the other members of your community. And some of these red flags, I think, were mentioned before, but common things to look out for is if employees are living at the establishment, if they're working really long hours, or if they're available on demand. The behavior of these employees, if they're overly fearful, if they seem tense or submissive. Sometimes the entrances to these establishments are atypical. They might be the side door, a back door, a locked door. Massage prices might be below market value. Things just to look out for. And so our office is committed to holding these perpetrators accountable and for keeping our community safe from these types of crimes. And it's really a privilege to be able to work with these partner agencies towards this unified goal so that we're able to address these crimes comprehensively. Thank you.
As Sheila just shared, all of these entities are licensed and they are inspected. And one of the roles of the county health department is not only to inspect restaurants or swimming pools, but we have such a wonderful cadre of team members who go in and inspect these spas to make sure that the health and safety and well-being are protected for our county. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Ken Welch, who is the administrator with the Licensure and Regulatory Services with the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. I'm glad I got through.
Good morning and thank you. That is a lot to say. My name is Ken Welch. I'm with Licensure and Regulatory Services. We're under Public Health Services. So, and just thank you very much for allowing us to be a part of this. It's been a long time that we've been working together on this program, and it's starting to come to fruition. And those of you who may not have known that, from the time that we started back in 2015, 2016 on this program, there was nothing there. There was nothing across the states. There was nothing across any place that we were looking for. So we had to develop this from the ground up, and it did take time to get there. But I think today we are at that point. So Montgomery County is committed to protecting workers, preventing exploitation, and ensuring the businesses operate in compliance with the law. As part of our ongoing initiative to discourage human and labor trafficking, the Department of Human Services licenses and inspects establishments to providing acupressure and reflexology. We also refer to these as Body Works establishments. To strengthen these efforts, HHS has increased staffing for inspections, worked with the Women's Commission, and continue to share tips with law enforcement on suspicious activity in establishments. Together, this visible presence is making a difference, and partnership with Montgomery County Police is yielding those results. During recent annual inspections, HHS issued 2 citations and observed some suspicious activity, but it wasn't illegal. So we passed that information along to the people who are supposed to be looking into that, and the appropriate agencies will look into it and do any enforcement as necessary. However, we believe that transparency is key, and that's why we posted all of our licensed Body Works establishment facilities on the Data Montgomery website. And what we basically are doing are encouraging the public to report any suspicious activity or unlicensed businesses so that they can be investigated. Complaints may be filed anonymously through either MC301 by calling our office at 240-777-3986 or through our HHS mail at montgomerycountymd.gov. With your help, together we can protect workers, prevent exploitation, and ensure safe, lawful businesses practices in Montgomery County. Thank you.
As we've mentioned, part of this initiative is to protect the health and safety of all of our citizens in Montgomery County, but it's also to protect the health and safety of the workers in some of these illicit massage establishments, which is where our wonderful trauma services has come in. Rose Scotsman, who's the manager of trauma services, as also a part of the Montgomery County Health and Human Services, will share some of the things that they've done as well. Rose?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosalia Scottman, or known as Rose, and I'm the manager of Trauma Services. And I want to thank you all for being here this morning. Today represents the power of collaboration. The Body Works Education and Outreach Campaign brings together county agencies, community partners, and law enforcement with a shared commitment to education, accountability, and survivor-centered responses. I want to acknowledge the critical role of our law enforcement partners whose proactive and diligent efforts help identify these illegal Body Works establishments. These inspections are not just regulatory actions, they are often the first step in uncovering harmful practices and protecting vulnerable individuals. Victim services providers play a central role in this effort. When law enforcement identifies potential victims, Trauma Services has a team of victim advocates and licensed therapists who ensure timely access to trauma-informed confidential services, which includes crisis intervention, advocacy, court and medical accompaniment, safety planning, counseling, and connections to longer-term support. This campaign is a call for all of us to learn the indicators, share the resources, and engage responsibly. Thank you to our partners for your continued support, to County Executive Mark Elrich, to Councilwoman Dawn Lukey, and for everyone who is involved. Thank you for your support.
As you've heard us say, this truly has been a coordinated community effort, and I really mean that from the heart. We can only do so much on the local level, and that's where our state partners really come in and make an enormous difference. It is my extreme pleasure, as it has been with all of our speakers, but also to introduce Tiffany Smith-Williams, who's the Executive Director of the Maryland Board of Acupuncture, Maryland Department of Health. I just want to share on a personal note what a pleasure it has been to work with all of you. Ms. Tiffany and I have just been getting to know each other, but as an aside, I thought I might have scared her the first time that I talked to her because I was so passionate and I was so much of an advocate around this that I thought I might have scared her off, but she wasn't scared. In fact, she not only lifted me, but empowered all of us to put and enhance what we've been doing and work even stronger and harder on the state level. So thank you so much for being here. I'm glad I didn't scare you.
Good morning, everyone. And Tiffany is fine. I am the Executive Director. I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for the Maryland State Board of Acupuncture. If you're not familiar with regulatory boards, we are there to protect the public. It is our main mission. The boards are put together by professionals and consumers who put in a lot of personal time to police the professions. Acupuncture is sort of misunderstood, and people believe that acupuncturists only do needlework. Acupuncturists are licensed professionals who have to have at least a master's degree in order to qualify for a license. We also regulate East Asian medicine. So they practice more than needlework. And this is where the confusion comes in with acupressure, because it's essentially acupuncture with no needles. And it is used a lot for geriatric and pediatric patients. Somehow, though, people don't believe that we regulate the profession, and they've been exploiting it. And our more than 30-year-old law didn't address businesses or business owners. So the bills that you've heard mentioned earlier, HB 370 and SB 374, do not prevent a massage therapist from practicing what they already do, and they don't take away anything that an acupuncturist can already do. It makes clear that manual therapy includes acupressure and that acupuncturists perform East Asian body work. It has been absolutely wonderful to work with everyone, to talk about it, to learn about what Montgomery County is doing. I am not at all surprised about the great work that public servants do, especially on the local level. And we hope that if you have any questions or based on this press conference, you will tell the public that you can go to any health profession website any day of the week, 24/7, and look up a license or a name of a practitioner to make sure they're in good standing to provide services to the residents in the state of Maryland. We are available if you need us for anything, and please feel free to go to my MGA to put in the bill numbers and to send emails or letters to the bill sponsors to let them know that this work is important and that you support their sponsorship of the bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for being here today. I encourage you to use your phones to look at the QR codes that are linked to our website. Over the next weeks and months to come, we'll be updating that website to include more information about the Body Works establishments in Montgomery County. One last thank you I would like to say to our partners, I don't think I've acknowledged quite yet, is Dr. Cara Grant from the Montgomery County Public School System. And is there anyone, and Sandra from Comcast, anyone else that I... Oh, and Safe Center, thank you so much for being here. Detective John Witherspoon, thank you for the Special Victims Unit, Missing Children from Montgomery County Police Department. And if there's anybody else I missed, please speak up or forever hold your peace. Thank you all so very much for being here today, and thank you for continuing this wonderful work.
También ayudan con eso si las personas tienen impuestos anteriores que no han hecho.